Hi everyone, I'm back. So that was a guide to some open access free digital resources. I would also encourage you to look at the Slavery Adverts 250 Twitter account. I was going to save that for Twitter, but it happens to appear earlier because it is a resource. It's a great example of how a relatively simple project can be really important. Basically, this professor named Carl Keyes, who teaches at a small college in Massachusetts, every day has these automatic posts of newspaper ads where slavery is some part of the concept. So it can be like someone ran away, or there's, people selling other human beings. There's no good way to talk about it because it was horrible. And it just shows you every single day, like 250 years ago, this was day in, day out, what reality was when you picked up the newspaper. The sheer weight of it is really stupendous. And it was very simple. I mean, you can tweet, just put a picture up on Twitter, and that's what he did. He finds the material in newspapers, but it's a relatively simple technology that's really, really important. So I hope that that's inspiring to learn about. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a little bit with some library resources. This is just an overview. You're going to have more as the semester goes on. So if you go to WESCA, there we go, westgeorgia.edu, and you're like, hey, I go here. Let's see. Let's scroll down. Let's go. Where's the library link? Why isn't the library link on the homepage? That makes me sad. Anyway, we'll go to, there we go. I guess we'll do an A to Z index for lack of a better option. L is for library. And then what you will do is you will go right here to databases in Galileo and click on subject or A to Z listing. There are a lot of databases that we have. We have EBSCOhost, we have JSTOR, we have Project Muse. I'm going to just show you how to get to JSTOR and Project Muse for now. There's Craig Shore, he's a wonderful librarian. Librarians are helpful people. They are kind people. You log in with your UWG ID and password, and then there you are at JSTOR. JSTOR stands for Journal Storage. So what you can do is you can look for, I will look for Charles Morton's Compendium Physicae, which for some reason seems to be a recent keyword of mine. It was, of course, reviewed in 1941, because I have very sad tastes in things. Oh wow, I Bernard Cohen and ISIS. Oh, that's exciting. Anyway, this is a review by a very well-known scholar of Isaac Newton's work, of a contemporary of Isaac Newton's, Charles Morton, who was a very weird man, but in a very interesting way. He had his own kind of philosophies of science and nature and how the world worked, and some of them were based on intelligent research, in fact, and some really were not. And they were combined in very odd ways. And he taught at Harvard for a very long time. So there were a lot of strange things and strange up and downs. So what you will notice is that when you do a search for something, so let's say you are writing about Mary Wortley Montagu, who is the writer of a book we are about to read. Well, first of all, there's a lovely picture of her. There's, I'm guessing, some plate that has something to do with her. You're probably going to go with journal articles. And then what you can do is sort by newest and get the most recent research. So this is a different Montagu, so you're going to scroll down. But look at your finding 2018, 2017, annotator as ordinary reader, accuracy, relevance, and editorial method. You're going to find book reviews of books that discuss her work. You're going to find a journal article by James Turner. You're going to find all kinds of things. If you are writing about her, you will find intersections of medicine and literature because she helped to bring smallpox inoculation to England from Turkey. So Heather Meek, for example, writes about medical discourse, women's writing, and what she's calling the perplexing form of 18th century hysteria. And hysteria was often used to refer to specifically womanly ailments. Hyster is the prefix for uterus, like if you get a hysterectomy. So you'll find all kinds of useful and interesting works. So that's JSTOR, okay? JSTOR. So you go to J in the West Georgia databases. When you go back, you go to that Galileo main list. Project Muse, in terms of what I study and what a lot of people in literature study, has a lot of 18th century journals, has a lot of other literary journals. As you'll see, it says over 300 high-quality humanities, arts, and social sciences journals. So let's say you want to look for Mary Wortley Montagu here, and see who you find. So you can sort again by newest first. I always like newest first. Sometimes you have to weed through some stuff, but at least you're getting the most recent thing. Western Europe in the Ottoman world, media, mediation, and intermediaries. Well, that's exactly who she is and what she's doing. So that's a great resource. The Newgate smallpox experiment from 1721. I mean, that's when she's bringing smallpox inoculation to Britain. This might be an article that contradicts that. We have a book review of Daniel O'Quinn's book on the Ottoman Empire. We have some Dutch responses. We have a different writer named Eliza Haywood who's being focused on there. Let's see what else we have. Book reviews. I don't know what the social life of biometrics is, but it sounds interesting. Let's see what the chapters are. Oh, okay. Well, that's not helpful. Oh, well. Freedom of speech, 1500 to 1850. What a great idea. What a great idea for a book. Tasting difference, food, race, and cultural encounters in early modern literature. I am guessing that she would be, her Turkish embassy letters, which we're going to be talking about, would be present there. Let's see if there's anything. I mean, I know a lot of these people and their work, and it's very good. And so it's one way to find high quality, what are called peer-reviewed journal articles, is to go to these databases. If one of your professors says, find an article about, and then it's, a book you're reading or something like that, or a poem or a film, they mean going to places like this. So that's a great first step. So that is my little spiel on JSTOR and Muse, so making sure you get to see those. So, MARC records. What are MARC records? MARC records means machine readable cataloging, and it is a term for library records. And one thing this is not something people tend to show you, but as soon as I learned about it, I found it very useful for a lot of the books that I'm researching. So I am here at Harvard, not right now, but this is Hollis. This is their library database. And when a book is in a library, it has a catalog record with it. And often what you will do is you will see, for example, in British literature, the Library of Congress cataloging will begin with, 2 letters, PR 9175, and you have to go to where all the PRs are in the book stacks. and then you find your book. In terms of how much more information is found in the library catalog, that can really vary. When it is an old book, that information can be really fabulous and valuable and important. And so I'm going to go through an example of that, and that is the Gutenberg Bible, which, is probably the old book most people have heard of. It's a printed, one of the earliest printed works, printed in 1454, right after the invention of movable type in Western Europe. A lot of really big, wealthy research libraries, such as Harvard's, have a copy of it. It's kind of like one of the, it's like having an Oscar, but if you're a rare book, I guess. Oh, look, you can even text yourself the record of the Gutenberg Bible. You can export it to Excel, etc. I'm just going to go through this with you. So you'll see all of these are what are called metadata fields. Metadata. So it's data about data. You've got the title, you've got variant titles, you've got publication dates. This description is what's called a bibliographical description, that it's 1,286 pages. Those things called signatures, that's a bibliographic topic. It refers to the different little folded parts bound together in the book. This is what is called a folio book, which means there's only one fold in it. So that's why it's very large. It was the size, like when you opened it up, it was the size of like the largest piece of paper they could fit on the printing press at that time. When you see the cataloging, you will see that we learn who the former owners were and what's called provenance is. There's, Gutenberg is the printer. Here's the first owner that we can trace, and here are all of these other people whose book this has been. This was, preserved and passed down through the years. There's a permanent link to it. There's the date it was created, but then you can also view source, and that says Mark, so that's the machine readable catalog. So I know this looks weird, but if you look, all of these are standardized library fields. And so, these are all programmed in, and if you become a librarian, you're going to learn to do this kind of thing. You'll have your one field, you'll have your 130s, which, there's, the standardized language that's used so that we can track Gutenberg Bibles from the Library of Congress to here, to there, to everywhere. You want to know how many of them there are out there in the world if you're doing a research project. The 700 field is where you find a lot of that valuable information. Here are all the different people who owned this book. And so they're linked here. Let's see what we can find in them in the previous one. So those are the MARC records. It's okay. We're still alive. So like if you want to look up this John Lloyd guy, do we have any other things that were his? Well, look at that. In the Harvard Library, look, there are all kinds of John Lloyd related items. And it could just be that there's a famous writer with that name, so you have to kind of go in there. But it's also possible that a donor donated this book to that library as well as other books. So that's the kind of thing that you can look up. Similarly, the University of Virginia, you see the same kind of thing. Here, what you do instead, RIS is a different format, but you can go to more details, and then you can look at the full record. Yeah, see, there we go. It's not quite the full digital programming information from MARC, but you still get more. You get, here's the people who owned it before. Here's what the binding is. It's 19th century gilt-tooled red Morocco. So hopefully this has taught you how to use library records to look at rare materials and how to use some UWG databases.